everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Alabi. If this is your first time of coming across my video, please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And if you are a returning subscriber, please always watch my video. So in this video today, I'm going to be sharing my experience of how I became a nurse in Canada. So in 2018 December, my husband started my application, and by the time he finished with the filling of forms, it was actually in February 2019 that he submitted my application. So because it is my husband that actually created the application for me, so he gave me the first blow, like first blow of my life, when he was creating the application for me. And the blow was, by the time they were asking him what language, like what is the first language that you guys used to communicate in Nigeria, my husband had to put Yoruba for me. So he put Yoruba, and that actually gave me a kind of setback for about 2.5 years. Yeah, because of the fact that they've seen Yoruba language, they felt Yoruba was the command in which I was actually taught. So anything outside of English, my dear, you will have to prove it. You have to prove it in form of writing IELTS or CELBAN. So for me, in my own case, I tried writing CELBAN 2 times. I failed. I tried IELTS for 2 times. I failed. Not with big volume, sometimes 1, sometimes 1.5. Then I gave up writing IELTS. So I moved to CELBAN. CELBAN is Canadian English language benchmark for nurses. So you must have been residing in Canada before you can be eligible to write that one. So I wrote it 2 times. For their listening, you need 10. My first attempt, I got 8. I said, okay, maybe I just need to buckle up again. So I buckled up. 3 months after, I put in for another one, and I did. Lo and behold, I got 9. Oh shit. I cried. Anyways, honestly, I cried because the money was actually much, and I was working as personal support worker, you know, low money. So I used my credit card to pay for it, and this second time it really hit me hard, and I had to call for a mark. But unfortunately, they said it's 9. Then I gave up. I gave up. That was that for English anyways. So in February 2020, my husband submitted the application. And because I didn't have this proof of English, it made my application to just stay. Like, it only stayed, and they did not even bother to touch it for the first 1 year. Meanwhile, I didn't have any information that I can always add another province. I don't have the information. So my dear, by the time you are creating your application, please don't just add only 1 province. When you are making your initial application with NNAS, please always add about 2 or 3 provinces, because one of them will always be lenient. One of them will always be comfortable with you not having English. And even the good news now is at NNAS level, you no longer need English. Though when you get your nursing regulatory body, they might still ask you for this. So my application stayed just for 1 year, and the thing is, after 1 year, you are only entitled to renew once. So when it gets to November 2020, I told my husband, you know what, let's just renew for another 1 year. If I'm fortunate to pass this exam, all well and good. But that time I was already getting frustrated, for real. So at this stage, like, then I always join groups on Facebook. Any group that I found out that they are doing either nursing, English exam, I always join. So fortunately for me, I put up one comment in one group one day, and fortunately, just a Nigerian friend, like, I don't know her, but she's a Nigerian. She's also a nurse. Then also, she's also struggling with how to pass her English. Then this lady came to my inbox and messaged me. Then we became friends. Like, we became friends. Rebecca, you know yourself. So Every now and then, she'll be challenging me. Sister, don't worry, we'll make it through. I said, fine, sure. But at least at this point in time, I had somebody to confide in. I have a companion that we can both share the journey experience together with, because it's already frustrating at that point in time. So I renewed, and at this point, I get to know that I can add another province. So I added another province. You know, the first application already expired for the first year, and now I have renewed, meaning that I can no longer renew for the first application, but I created another application, like I added another province, so that that one can start counting for its own first year. At least my intention then was to save me of making another initial payment of $650. So at this point, I started waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, thinking NNAS will make decision for the other province that I added. But lo and behold, nothing. Then, one day, so the second year almost passed again. I mean 2021 again, almost passed. So, by the end of October, I was just reading through comments on Facebook. Then I saw this lady. She just wrote her timeline, the way she walked through her own journey. And I saw this lady advising people that you can add New Brunswick. That New Brunswick are so lenient, they don't need English. That these people can even give you attempts to challenge NCLEX, even if you get not comparable. And you know, I don't know anybody. I don't have any information, but good for me, I just saw that comment. And I'm like, okay, let me go and try and add another province. That will be the third province I'm adding at this stage. The day I saw that message, I was at work. I can't just wait to finish that 3-hour shift. I can't forget. And I drove like a mad person home. Unfortunately, when I get home, I don't know how to add the province. So I quickly called this my friend in Saskatchewan. And she said, you don't know how to add it. I said, I don't know, because my husband has always been the one doing this thing for me. So I will just have to wait till evening when he comes back from work to come and do it. Then this my friend challenged me, say, just put up your laptop and let's do this thing together. Then I opened up my laptop. You know, I was already fidgeting just because I wasn't sure whether I would be able to have this province without asking me for English. And that was my fear. So fortunately, I put up my laptop and I was able to have this province. And I just saw a box where you can defer English. I quickly hit that button. My dear, that was October 26, 2021. Just imagine, just within 3 weeks, within 3 weeks, I got a report, something that I've waited for 2 years, just because of English. I got it just within 1 month. Like, although when they were doing my evaluation for Ontario, there were couples of things that they were rejecting. There was a time they discovered that my transcript, the name that was written on my transcript says Oyinlola instead of Oyinloyoye. I had to request for another transcript from LAUTECH. That one still took another month. There was another point in time that they discovered that my school of nursing only sent in curriculum, transcript, they didn't have curriculum. I had to request again. So there were a lot of setback with my applications. So anyways, by the end of November last year, I got my report from NNAS. And you know what? I got not comparable, meaning all my education in Nigeria, my nursing, my midwifery, my public health nursing, my bachelor's in nursing, it's not comparable to Canadian standard. And that means I have to go for bridging. But thank God that I was fortunate to be among the people that were considered by this by this Nurses Association of New Brunswick, because they were just thinking to make life a bit easier for international students. So I ported my report. to New Brunswick. Meanwhile, I'm living in Alberta. That's another province. But because I don't even have proof of English, they did not even issue me advisory report from NNAS. It's another province entirely that is giving me advisory report. So I ported to New Brunswick, and my dear, within just 4 weeks, I got an email from these people asking me if I'm able to challenge Almighty NCLEX, that they are willing to give me 2 attempts. Within 6 months, I have to pass the exam. Or do I think I want to go for bridging courses? And I replied them the email. Meanwhile, that was in December 18, 2021. So I just replied them that I will challenge the NCLEX. And in January 8, 2022, I went in for this exam. That was just about 3 weeks when I get a decision. I went in to write my NCLEX, and I made it at my very first attempt. I was 85 and out, like it's God, not me. So people might be wondering, have you been studying? How come that they gave you decision and within just 3 weeks, you just went in for NCLEX and you passed? Yes, I've been studying. This is the gist. When I became so frustrated with Canadian process, so last year, May, I actually applied to Board of New York in US, thinking that these people will give me authorization to write NCLEX, because people in US, people in Canada, and people in Australia, we both write the same NCLEX exam. So whether you have passed in US or you've passed in Australia, you can always transfer that your result to Canada. So that time when I became so frustrated that I was writing English and I was failing, I already gave up all hope. Like, I already gave up hope that I can never get authorization in Canada. So I had to go to US. Like, I tried another route, which was US. So I applied in May, and 2 months, I didn't hear anything. Then, that my friend in Saskatchewan just told me, why not just enroll online and do kind of content review and just get yourself prepared for NCLEX? I said, when I've not even gotten an advisory report? She said, yes. I said, when I don't even know my fate, whether they will send me back to school or I won't even be eligible at all. She said, don't worry, you will get eligibility one day. Just start studying. Then I just obeyed her. I enrolled, did some online review. I purchased UWord for question bank, and I think it's really worth it. So by the time when they gave me the decision to go and write my NCLEX, I only studied for just 3 weeks because I have already been equipped. Like, I've been loaded with enough content. My husband was even afraid, said, how can you get your authorization to test December 20 and you're just going in to write the exam January 8th? Why are you rushing? You have 6 months. I said, excuse me, because then, like, for real, I was already frustrated. I was frustrated and I was just living in anger, in fear. So I just said, let me just go in. Meanwhile, by the time I got my report, I got not comparable for RN, but somewhat comparable for LPN, because I put in for both LPN and RN. So Ontario then gave me eligibility to go and challenge LPN. Why New Brunswick said I can go and challenge RN. So I think I just felt that if I fail RN, then I will come and take my LPN that Ontario has given to me. So I went in for that RN, and luckily for me, I made it. And that was actually my journey. It was so funny. It was so stressful. It was money consuming, but at the end of it all, I passed. And when I passed, there was another hurdle for me to cross. There was another ocean. And here's the ocean. Because I reside in Alberta, people will not allow you to practice with them unless you have proof of English. Remember, I've done my English exam 4 times and I have failed, and I've already given up on that. Like, I've already made up my mind that I'm never going to attempt that English exam again because I've spent so much money on it. So now, for you to practice in Alberta where I reside, you have to prove to them that you can actually communicate in English by either providing them IELTS results or CELBAN, or you must have studied in Canada, or you must have been working as RN in Canada. Remember, I got my authorization to test from another province, which is New Brunswick. So this New Brunswick, I just felt is kind of so far from the province where I reside. So I did transfer to Ontario. And now, for me to be able to practice in my province, I have to go and work in another province, being the last option I had then, because I don't want to go in for another English exam. I was afraid of failing it again for the 5th time. So I didn't bother to even write English exam again. And you know, I haven't studied in Canada. So the only option left for me is to leave my family and go to another province, work as an RN for 1,125 hours. That is the recommendation. That is their rule. You have to work for 1,125 hours before you can now transfer back to them. So in February this year, you remember I passed my exam January 8th this year, 2022. And I just talked to my husband, said, you know what? You just have to please allow me to go to another province and just go and fulfill these hours. Then my husband became so kind of annoyed. So how do you think I can manage with 2 girls? I said, okay, let's speak with Grandma in Nigeria if she's willing to come and stay, because Grandma just left. And I wasn't so sure she would be willing to come back again, most especially she knows Canada is kind of so lonely lifestyle. So I just called Grandma and said, Grandma, you know what? You know, this thing, I've actually been waiting and waiting for it. And now the hour has come. Please, can you just come over and stay for about 6 months with my kids? So she agreed. And just between January 8th and February 7th, we actually made that quick arrangement, book a flight. Then she came over. So she came February 5th. Yeah, precisely. She came February 5th. And I left February 7th to another province because I just have to go and work these hours for them. So I have to move to Ontario only by myself. And luckily for me, I got this good employer. They offered me free accommodation and free transportation for the first 2 months. So I worked these hours for about 6 months and 2 weeks. Then I got my hours. Then I had to transfer back my license to Alberta, where my family is. So September 29 this year, I actually got my license. And luckily for me as well, I got a job, you know, as a starter. The pay might not really be encouraging, but anyways. So I got a job, and now I can actually practice as a registered nurse in my province, Alberta. So it's really interesting. The way I've just said it, like, I just said it as if it's kind of, it's just normal thing. But my dear, it's more than normal thing. Like, it's frustrating, it's time consuming. Psychologically, I wasn't balanced when the progress was not forthcoming, because a lot of time my friends in Nigeria will call me, oh, how is life there? Have you been practicing? Then each time I get a question, not that I was annoyed with them, but like I would just get annoyed with the whole process, with the way Canada is just treating everybody, not only nurses. It's a general thing. Once you've studied outside of Canada, like for you to transition to their own standard, it's always time consuming, it's always money demanding, it's frustrating at times. A lot of people tends to pull out, a lot of people join other things, people go into IT. But I just felt nursing is my passion. Like, this is what I've been doing for years. Like, I can't just at this point in time just trash it and start all over. Start all over from where? Like, so I had to slow down, and I followed my dream, and everything came, like everything just come as expected. And so that was my journey. So I'm just imploring you, if you're already in Canada and you find out that the whole process is taking so long, my dear, all I just have to say is just to follow it as it is. Like, that is their process, but at the end of it, I'm gonna assure you that you're gonna laugh last. And if you're still in Nigeria or in another country and you're still having it in mind to come to Canada, please, all I can just say is, if you are already dreaming about coming to Canada, just start your NNAS as soon as possible. Like, start, because you have 1 year for your application to be there, and even if it expires in the first year, you can always renew for the second year. So within 2 years, man, you would have gotten your report. Then you now start with your immigration process. Anyways, for people who might still be thinking of, okay, if we start our NNAS and we got reports, we get our reports, so how do we get into Canada? Don't worry, in my next video, I promise you, I'm going to be bringing in somebody that came in through student route, who will be sharing with us different paths that we can actually take to come into Canada. Thank you so much for watching my video. Love you, and I'll see you next in my video. So if you have any question, any comments, any query, any inquiry you want to make regarding how to transition to Canadian RN, please drop it in the comment section, and I promise to get back to you as soon as possible. Love you, and stay safe.